Speaking of the devil, we're just passing by the apartment of Patrick Bateman from American Psycho. If you know, watch the movie. Anyway, genuinely ask yourself a question. If I give you an offer that you cannot simply say no to, what offer would be? Regardless of how good your life was in the past, if I give you an option to start from the bottom, right? Let's say I give you an option to start as a child, relive your life again, regardless of how good your life is or was growing up, 99% of the people will accept the offer. Ask yourself why. Regardless of how good moments you had, all the knowledge that you gain, all the experience you gain, all the good moments, personal, professional life, 99% of the people will say, yes, give me the chance to relive my life. And my offer, of course, has something attached to it, right? There are strings attached to the offer. Why? Because usually my offer makes the devil look weak. Speaking of the devil, we're just passing by the apartment of Patrick Bateman from American Psycho. The point over here that I'm trying to say is that if I give you this specific offer, right? Why would you accept the offer if your life is great? Think about it, right? You will accept this offer if you presume, if you understand that, the chances for you to achieve more in personal, professional life will be better. Yes or no? The answer is yes. So if the answer is yes, then it's a no-brainer. Because a lot of people say, yes, I will accept the offer, but I will keep my knowledge. I will know exactly what's going to happen, what should I or shouldn't do in my life. I said no. This is the strings attached to the offer. Your knowledge about life and experience will be erased, so you start from the bottom, but you have chance to live double the time than usual person. If you've seen the movie Vanilla Sky with Tom Cruise, remember he woke up and there is no one on the streets. Folks, this is Upper West Side. There's absolutely no one on the street. Look at this. Somehow I end up in the hood. Another day in the ghetto. Life, I think it's about maximizing what you can get out of life, not like just living for the sake of being alive. It's about, knowing what to do, pushing it super freaking hard, being everywhere and anytime you want to be or you want to go, do whatever you want to do. No brakes could be put on you, no one can hold you back. And the problem is that a lot of people will take the offer, and I'll tell you why. To start from the bottom is because they already believe that they have missed so many opportunities, right? Just think about it. If you believe, you may not want to say it or admit it out loud, but if you admit, that you missed most of the opportunities in life, and if I give you a chance to start from the bottom, even if you don't have just think about it, even if you don't have the knowledge base, right? You're still going to accept, because you're going to presume that you're still going to be smarter. Even though you're starting from the bottom, you're not going to be smarter. Because the same knowledge base will not be there. So this means that if you don't have the same knowledge base, this means that most likely you're going to do the same decisions that you did previously, which might lead you to the same position that you are right now. Again, the bet, in my opinion, the bet is completely worth it. Because if you think about it, right? You still have higher chance for fulfilling all the missed opportunities. Because if before you already assume that you missed these opportunities, right? And if I give you a chance to do it again, then you're still going to presume that you're going to be more risk tolerant, right? You effectively bet that your common sense will tell you, hey, take this risk, don't be afraid, just do it, okay? Very simple. In the moment you actually think about it before you start commenting, just think about it. If you presume that this is the truth, right? If the knowledge base I gave you is the same, then you will likely take higher risk. So again, think about it. Any variation of life that can give you better ROI for your time spent on the planet Earth, any opportunity that will give you a chance, hey, I will bring you back in time. You will start dating as teenager, as an adult. You're going to start, choosing discipline to study, career paths, all that stuff. You're still not going to have advanced knowledge what the future will be. You're not gonna know to go to Harvard to speak with Mark Zuckerberg. You're not gonna have the knowledge to know that AI is gonna wipe out everything in 2023. You're not gonna have the knowledge about the COVID and all that nonsense, or buying Nvidia and all the semiconductor stocks. But you might actually think that all this risk aversion that you have right now will disappear, and you will be able to take greater risk automatically, which could potentially yield like better results. Not sure, guaranteed, but still gonna be better than the current ones. And the thing is, once when you realize this, everything changes. It's no longer a risk. It's more or less opportunity, right? Because all the missed opportunities that you have today looking back are opportunity that you actually didn't take chance, didn't try. You convince yourself it's not worth it. You convince yourself that it's not gonna work. It doesn't, worth trying. You even convince yourself that it's not really what you're looking for or what you want. It's all this nonsense people usually tend to do. Because if you convince yourself that that's not something you want or worth your time or effort, you're 100% not going to do it. That's what I was trying to explain to all my friends. That, if your knowledge base is no longer there, right, but you still have more chances to take the same risk, they're still gonna take the same risk. That's the whole point of it. And I don't wanna falsely hype you up that being a crazy risk taker will always yield to success. But I personally believe, my personal belief system is constructed on the foundation that risk yields more than fear. Risk has higher probability of rewarding you than hurting you. Not always, not anytime, not on anything. I want you to just think about this. A lot of people rush to speak, rush to argue, rush to comment. Nobody rushes to think through. Right? Exactly what I meant by saying this. That if a lot of all of these things that you assemble the pieces, you understand what I meant, right? Just take your time and realize what risk you're comfortable taking, and just simply measure the potential output versus the upside and downside. How much you can lose if you take this risk, this X. How much I can win, Y. Measure the spread between X and Y, and do your bet. Is it worth it? I'm going to try to build greenhouses from whatever reusable cars. Is the bet worth it? If I'm right, what's happening? Well, very likely raising billions of dollars from car manufacturers, right? Well, very likely $1 billion valuation. What's happening if I'm wrong? Well, you lose, 25, 50K max. I think the upside is crazier than the downside. Just think about it. Do you know that in the United States of America there was a 41 years private gold ownership ban? You are not allowed to own your gold, regardless coins, personal jewelry, investment. During the presidency of FDR, right at the peak of the Great Depression, the credit contraction and lack of liquidity on the open market put the president in the position of seizure of the gold. Everyone who possesses anything that was gold has to sell the gold to the Federal Reserve at the fixed rates. In this way, he will fund the New Deal, which pumped new money into the economy and forced people to spend the money to increase the liquidity, because back then, at the peak of the Great Depression, no one was spending any money. Not only people didn't have enough, but people who had some, they were afraid that they will not be able to earn any single dollar in the future, because during the peak of the Great Depression, there was no real way out of the situation. No one, even on the political side, was not capable to predict something else to be fixed in a very short manner. This is why people were holding the gold, they were hoping and they were hedging against even worsening the situation. Very important is that during the President Gerald Ford, he actually removed the restrictions and made it again legal for people to own gold. Very interesting. Later, in the historical sense, when the gold was de-pegged from the gold standard during the Bretton Woods meeting, a lot of people expected the gold price to actually see a major decline. Why? Because if the gold was not backed by actual fiat currency back then, a lot of people were expecting that the value of the gold will not be as substantial and it will not remain high or it will not increase. What actually happened was that once when the gold was freely available for trading, people were buying even more. This actually pumped the prices. This also increased the government ownership in gold. Other countries who were, most of which poor, realized that their currency, their fiat currency, will most likely suffer from the dollar becoming a global currency of acceptance, which meant that they understand that there is nothing equal anymore. If prior gold backed with dollar and other currencies being in some shape or form backed with gold makes them in some way equal and preventing them in some way from deflation or making their currency worth less, this was no longer the case because the gold was de-pegged, the gold was a free asset traded on the open market, and then every currency should have built the trust on its own. And remember, each of these currencies worth more only if the country's economical status is progressing, only if the country is doing a lot of international deals, is doing a lot of international trade agreements. But most countries didn't have much to offer in terms of trade, international trade. This meant that a lot of their currency devaluation was extremely high. You can look at China 25, 30 years ago, they were extremely poor. Very, very poor, like no middle class. And look at them now, right? They're developing very, very fast. Their GDP is growing very fast. They're catching up on all technologies. And all this happened because they increase their international trade agreements. They start exporting more and more. They start producing more and more. This is what I meant, that the national currency of each country only means something when the country has a substantial, predictable economic growth or economic path. This is why you will see on countries that have a very bad political systems, that have a huge uncertainty, their country currency worth nothing. This is probably the easiest way for you to evaluate a particular country. If you want to move into this country, probably you like the country, but you know nothing about the politics or the economic stance of the country. Just look at the currencies over time. Just look at the performance or the currencies over 3 years, 5 years period, 10 years period. If we assume that every campaign or every mandate of the political figures is 4 to 5 years, just look at what is the trend. What was the trend for the last 2 different presidents? Did the currency continue to go down or currency remain steady? In Europe, for example, a lot of countries who didn't accept the euro when they joined the European Union, they had a fixed rate, their local currency fixed rate with the euro. So the people in this country didn't lose nothing. Every time when they want to exchange the local currency into $1, euro, the currency exchange rate was always the same. Everything was fixed, so there was no variable exchange rate. Everything was predictable. This meant all of these countries can continue using their local currency, and their local currency was valuable because they had a fixed exchange rate with the euros. So people who want to trade with this country, they weren't afraid to take the local currency in exchange when they do imports or exports, because they always knew that if they want to exchange this local currency after the trade with euro, they have a fixed exchange rate, so they're not going to lose anything on the side. This is why I want you to think about why, and if the gold hype continues, how many countries will try either to back their local currency with Bitcoin, because the Bitcoin works in the sense of a gold, limited supply, it's very precious and valuable, and a lot of banking institutions currently are allowing their customers to buy Bitcoin through the ETFs. A lot of banks soon will allow people to borrow against their Bitcoin holdings. A lot of well-known companies currently are accepting Bitcoin as a payment method. We're talking about Ferrari. You can go and buy a car. You can buy an apartments or houses in Dubai or other places around the world who accept that. So effectively, you realize that more and more economy is moving away from the fiat currency towards something that is either gonna be some shape or form of a gold standard, Bitcoin standard, something that will be a complement to the normal fiat currencies, because inflation is always something that changes the mind of people using particular payment method. If we go back again and look at the Great Depression, the first thing that actually happened after the stock market crash was people saw lack of liquidity, no money left because everyone was doubled down on the markets, institutions, individuals. Second thing, people saw that there is no transactions anywhere, so all the businesses shut down. No one went to the store to buy anything. People line up on the streets to wait to get government SNAP benefit food or that sort of things, like food and you know, I don't know, some coupons for something. The next thing actually happened was the devaluation, which a lot of people saw as, okay, I had equities, I had stocks, the market crashed, these stocks worth nothing. Then I had dollars, very few left, people who were lucky to have something left. But then they saw that they cannot buy absolutely anything because there was a major devaluation, because everyone else now was actually trying to acquire gold in a sense of coins, jewelries, like things that were meant to be something else, not as an investment. Back then, gold was not investment. Back then, gold was jewelry, was something fancy that you know, people have. And the poor people in Europe during this time, who, you know, can't afford to buy gold, they were buying pots and pans that are made of aluminum, that are made from different precious metals that they hope they will preserve certain value. One day, if they need money, they can melt them, or they can sell them to somebody who is gonna melt them and still preserve their small net worth. Right? This was a crazy panic, crazy times where remember, there is a major disinformation back then. No internet. Even the radio was not widely popular. Not everyone has a radio, right? If you live in the remote area.